610 CKTB proudly supporting Help Kids Shine, a month-long campaign to raise awareness and funds for the Niagara Children's Center. And now, another story of how the Niagara Children's Center helps kids shine.
And the campaign coming to a close very shortly, but they are closing in on the goal of $150,000 this month. Today, our focus turns to one of the ambassadors, young LILAH, 5-year-old from St. Catharines. Her mom, Shiloh, joins us on the program this afternoon. Shiloh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. LILAH seems like a sweet little girl, but it's been, from what I can tell, a trying 5 years, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Very trying.
Walk us through, because it sounds like this all really started right from the get-go, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yep. She was born with an emergency C-section. She was not breathing. It took about a minute before they were able to get her resuscitated. And from that, she suffered a very serious brain injury. She was transferred to McMaster and spent 3 weeks there. And when they released us, they had referred us to the Children's Center and told us they had no idea what her future looked like.
Oh, wow.
They didn't know if she would walk, she would talk, she would be capable of anything.
Was there any lead up to that moment where anything was looking like it might be going wrong up until the emergency, the C-section, or was it kind of just out of the blue?
It was a perfect pregnancy. I had no issues at all. And right at the end, I went into labor, and it just didn't feel right. I wasn't feeling her move. I paged my midwife, so they said, well, come in. I'm sure everything's fine. Come in. We'll check you out. And an hour later, I was in the OR, and they were performing a C-section.
Oh my! So yeah. Obviously, right from those moments, your mind had to be spinning as to what the future was going to hold.
It was very scary. Yeah, very, very scary. I didn't even get to see her until she was 6 hours old, and I didn't get to hold her until she was 3 days old.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that was like going through, but I imagine you continually just kept thinking about what was going to happen in the future too, right?
Right. Yeah. You wonder what her future is going to look like. It's very scary. I'd never dealt with anything like that before. And McMaster was an amazing hospital to be at. They were very helpful in terms of letting us know. Like they said right from the get-go that the Niagara Children's Center was the absolute best place for her to be. They had a lot of very positive things to say about the Children's Center.
Okay, so how quick?
Very reassuring.
How quick were you actually in the center? Because a lot of the stories, it's after a year or two, or sometimes a couple more. But it sounds like it was very early on for you.
Very early on, yeah. It was about 4 months, I think, when we saw the social worker came out to the house to do a visit and see LILAH and talk to me. And not long after that, we started seeing an occupational therapist.
Okay.
And then we were referred right away to a physiotherapist because LILAH was delayed with rolling over, sitting up, all that kind of stuff.
How did things develop from there? Because obviously, it's going to take some time to kind of figure out exactly kind of what help you need and what's going to work, right?
Right. Yeah, we were actually referred to an entire team. So right from the get-go, we had a social worker, physiotherapist, occupational therapist, and speech therapist. We started with occupational and physiotherapy first because their biggest concern was her gross motor skills at that time. They really wanted to get her moving.
Yeah.
And we had Nancy as our physiotherapist, and she was phenomenal. She was very, very helpful in terms of guiding us with what we can do at home to be helping her in between her sessions, educated us on movement and how the structures of how a baby moves and how a baby rolls over, sits up. Very helpful. We were able to do a lot of stuff at home to help her along. And once she started, she's a very determined little girl. Once she started us showing her how to do stuff, she caught on very quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nothing stops this kid.
When was she diagnosed with whatever they kind of figured out at the time?
She wasn't diagnosed with cerebral palsy and epilepsy until she was 2.
Okay.
She started having seizures just before her 2nd birthday, and we were referred to a neurology team at MAC.
Okay.
And that's when we found out that she had cerebral palsy and epilepsy.
Okay. Now, because I don't want to ruin it, hypoxic. You can do it.
I don't even know if I can do it anymore. That just basically means low tone. She was floppy as a baby.
Oh, okay, so
Yes.
that's why you were kind of working with the workers to kind of get some of those motor skills working.
Yes, yes. She was very, very floppy. She had no tone basically in her legs.
Okay.
That was the worst area. And it took a lot for her to, like, the tummy time that babies have was very difficult for her to push herself up. She didn't start crawling until she was, I think, 11 months old. She didn't start walking until she was 18 months old. And actually today I was looking at home videos of her after her second birthday, and she still kind of has that very early walker toddle.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Not now. Now she races around like a crazy kid.
Well, and that's what I wanted to make sure. I think we spent a lot of time on those early. But talk about the progress since you've been involved in over the last number of years.
Oh my goodness, they're amazing. She is grown by leaps and bounds. We are told constantly by her neurologist that this kid should, based on her MRI scans and everything else, the child doesn't match the clinical notes that they have on her. She runs, she talks, she walks, she climbs. She's doing phenomenal. Her biggest delay is still speech. I think because they focused first on getting her walking, getting her moving, and then they turn the focus over to speech once they feel she's really starting to meet those milestones. And so speech didn't start until after she was 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
She talks now, but there's definitely a delay. There's no conversation. Like if she comes home from school, I have no idea what she's done that day. The only thing she'll tell me is that she played with her best friend.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's not too different from a lot of 5-year-olds.
Yeah, probably, yeah. She's very quiet that way.
But it's really good to know, like the progress was made with the motor skills, especially, because that was probably, I imagine, what they were really concerned about at first.
Absolutely. She was very floppy, like I said, so it was hard getting her up and walking, getting her to stand, getting her to take those steps. Even things like lifting her arms up and throwing a ball, things like that. It was all focused on. And she had 2 years solid of physiotherapy before we started really with any speech. And the physio didn't stop when the speech started.
Yeah.
The speech just became the focus, and then she still had physiotherapy every 2 to 3 weeks.
Sounds like you've spent a lot of time over at the Children's Center.
That's our second home, yeah. Yeah.
But it's working, and it feels like family,
Absolutely.
doesn't it?
It does. It is. It's very much like family. Even now, we don't go for therapy anymore because she's in junior kindergarten. We still go to see Dr. Stacy, who is a physiatrist, specializes in children with things like cerebral palsy, motor function issues. And we still see him. We still go to the gait lab because she did wear orthotics for a very long time.
Okay.
So when we go in, it's very welcoming. It feels like home. You're greeted by everybody. I love it there. I miss not going all the time. It's very reassuring to go into a place like that and know that they've got your back and they're there to support you and help you, and their goals are to make your goals and dreams come true.
It's got to feel awesome that the doctors are saying that she's ahead of where they think she could or should be. So that is fantastic, and obviously keep working on the speech. It's a wonderful story, and just again showing just how hardworking things are over at the Niagara Children's Center. Shiloh, thanks a lot for the chat today.
Thank you.
Take care. There is Shiloh. Her daughter LILAH is one of the ambassadors this year for the Help Kids Shine campaign.
Help Kids Shine, raising awareness and funds for the Niagara Children's Center. To meet our ambassadors and make a donation, visit 610cktb.com.